Right, ladies and gents, I think they must have forgotten that they booked, but we'll crack on. Yes, so my name is Sharon. I'm your head wine steward on board. I'm the head sommelier, that's what they call it in the big ships of Royal Caribbean, but here we call it head wine steward, right? So I hope you booked the right talk for the right day, because we've all got different bookings of different talks as well. We've got gin talks, we've got mixology, we've got rum talk, I think, or what's the other talk? Gin talks and mixology talks, of course, which is happening in the next few days. Okay, so are you all wine drinkers? I hope you are. Apart from our little friend here is joining us today, of course, so I have to be careful with my terms. Right, so if you're all wine drinkers, how well do you know your wine? So how do you go about your wine? So you go enter Morrison's and then take a card, trolley, and pick your wine up. Do you read it? Yeah, you read the label saying two for the price of one. Okay, or one extra for the price of two. So yes, we actually sometimes, not all the time, but we hardly know our wine. Okay, all we know is that the alcohol percentage, the grape variety. Okay, if it's a red preference, red, white, or rosé. So do you know when wine was introduced to us? Have you got any idea? Roman times. It says there in the book, it's 8000 BC during the Mesopotamia era. What's Mesopotamia nowadays? Trivia? Extra glass of wine? Come on.
Iraq.
Well, nearly. It's part of it, but it's mainly Iraq. So we don't want to plant vines there now, don't we? Okay, so it's Iraq, okay? And then it went to Egypt. Okay, so how did they find out that wines actually existed in Egypt? It's because of the drawings in the tomb and of course of the jars. They found all, yes, inscription, what they call inscriptions of how they make the wines in them days. But do you know that, you've watched all these 10 Commandments? Have you watched it? When they all celebrate drinking wine and getting pissed. But they are actually drinking crap wine. And what they can do in them days, they have to dilute that with water so it can be drinkable because it's just crap. So what they need to do is they have to go on their travels. So they use the rivers, the Nile rivers, and they went on their travels to find out that Greek wine is better than theirs. So from then on, it went to Greece, it went to Europe, it went to America, and that's where we have our wine today. Okay? So, I know you're all excited to do more wine tasting and less of the talk. And more of cheese, which is not there anymore. Okay? If it's working. Right. So it says there in the book, this is all like written, okay, that it actually is. The vineyards should be planted where? 30 degrees north and south of the equator. Why? Because this is where the balance of the sunlight and the rainfall is. Okay? But that doesn't happen every year. There are bad years, there are good years, okay? So what is the first thing you should consider when you're doing your wine? It should be your grapes. Always consider the grape variety. So how many grape variety do you know? No? So how do you order your wine? It's for taste. So how would you do that, madam? So give me like,
Buy it again.
I'm sorry?
Try it. If you like it, buy it again.
Very good. That's very clever. I'll try it first. I'll try it. Give me just a taste. I'm sorry?
Taste it, don't spit it out.
Oh, no. Never spit it out, okay? We do that not every Southampton, most of the Southampton, we do wine tasting at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is happening on the 22nd when you disembark. So they're going to make us taste 20 wines at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Is that why we can't get on the ship early?
No, you can't. Nobody will be there. Right, okay. Of course, you have to make sure that the grape variety is, which is plays a very, very good part in winemaking, because you can never make a good wine out of a bad grape, but you can make a good wine of a good grapes. Okay? So, if you're ordering, what is it? Pinot Grigio, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot. Do you know the styles of this wine when you're ordering it? Or you just ask the sommelier. So, I would like a soft red wine. I would like a heavy, tannic red wine. Is that how you order your wine? Or you are aware, Shiraz, oh that's heavy. I like that with my meat. Most of the time you are actually aware because of what you eat, you pair them with what you drink. How about soil and topography? Do you think it plays a great importance in winemaking? Of course it does, okay? Because this is where the quality of the wine takes place from. So, the soil and topography in French term is called terroir. Okay, it's the combination of the soil and topography. The topography means where? Where that vineyard lies. Okay, sometimes it lies right next to the hills, foothills, ocean, river. So it is all different and varies. Okay, how about soil? When you're doing your, what do you call this, planting your fruits in your garden, what sort of soil do you use? Depends on the plants. But do you actually prefer a healthy soil? Of course, you buy them in B&Q. Is that where you buy it from? Okay? So you prefer a healthy soil because you want to make sure that your plants or fruits is healthy. But that's the other way around when you're doing it for grapes. Okay? Some of them, or most of them, are actually choosing a bad soil. Do you know why is that? Well, it's actually because it is acidity sometimes, but it's actually because if you plant a grape into a good soil, a tendency of that particular grape is to be a big bunch. And a big bunch of grape will be more watery. And you don't want more water into your grape. You want to have a quality, small yield grape. Okay? So they choose a bad soil. So it tendency is for it to dig deep into the soil and gets all the minerals, the coppers, the magnesium, the iron, which is very important in winemaking for the taste, of course. So, what are the classifications of wines do we know? Do you know? Nope. So, it's actually, there's 3 types of wines. Still, sparkling, fortified. Hang on. Of course, so still falls on which category? Still means there is no carbon dioxide. So these are the examples of red, white, and rosé. Sparkling, of course, that's where your Prosecco, Spumante, Asti, Champagne falls, which means that the wine was made with the carbon dioxide trapped. How about fortified? Yes, you obviously like your cheese. What goes very well with your cheese? Port, which means it's of higher alcohol because brandy has been added into the wine during the fermentation process. So if we're making a still wine, so obviously it comes from the vine, you pick the grape up, it gets pressed, okay, it goes into a destemmer, like this. Most of the wine owners have actually all different sorts of machines nowadays. Even the grapes are picked by machines, depending on which region, and it gets destemmed into a conveyor and gets crushed, okay? The base wine is called the must, and it gets taken out of and goes into the vat. So if you're making this white wine, how do you make it? Can you make a white wine from a red grape?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Pinot Grigio is a red grape. Okay? So for us to be able to make a white wine out of that red grape, you have to take the skins straight away. Okay? So it becomes white. How about the rosé? How come it's pink? Leave a bit of skin and leave it for just a couple of hours or probably just a day. It depends. So you can see we have Pinot Grigio Blush from Italy, which is pale pink. Zinfandel Rosé, which is a bit heavier in color. And of course, we have the Spanish Rosé, which is nearly red, but they are still rosé. How about the red? How do you make the red? Leave the skins on. It's sometimes for months, okay? Depending on how red, how colorful you want your red to be. And of course, what's the body? So how do you get the body from? You leave and press it 3 times to get the skins, to get the color, and to get all the flavors. And it goes into these different barrels here. Obviously, we have stainless steel tank, which is the cheapest because it can get sold straight away. These are examples of French, American, Hungarian oak barrels, okay? But of course, if you're gonna make a red wine out of these barrels, it can be sold on a higher price. So, fermentation process, are you aware of this term? Yes, fermentation process is the term used for winemaking, which means grape juice plus the yeast. Yeast can be natural, which is present in the air, or man-made. And then it gets in contact with the juice, produces what? Alcohol, carbon dioxide. Okay? So it just varies which one you should trap and which one should you release in the air. Okay? So when you've reached that temperature and the alcohol level that you're wanting, the yeast dies down, and this is an example of a dead yeast. Okay? So you need to clarify that and get rid of it so you can be able to make a healthy wine. And then it gets stored into this dark room here, which is what we call cellars. Okay? In them days, the cellars are mostly underground, but nowadays the cellars can be on top and they are temperature controlled. Even the tanks nowadays, for it to be cheaper, are all temperature controlled. And this guy here has got the most exciting job. What is he? He is indeed, okay? So he's in charge and he's got the last decision whether that particular barrel is ready for bottling. So which one of these 2 pictures over here is ready for bottling? Is that the bright, the really red one, or the pale one? The red one is the one that's not been clarified yet. It's not clean, so you need to clean it up, and it goes into this stage, and then it gets maturated again, right? So we've done these still wines. How about the sparkling? Who likes Prosecco? I like Prosecco better than champagne, I must say. I don't know, maybe it's because it's cheap. I can afford it rather than champagne. So, sparkling and champagne, what's the difference between them two? Price, obviously. 18.95 for a bottle of Prosecco, and the lowest price for a bottle of the house is, I think, 33. That's twice the price. So it makes you wonder why. Yes, bang on. It is probably because of how it's made. Okay? Champagne can only be called champagne if it's made from the Champagne region of France. And it's covered with different EU laws. And they have to abide by it. Okay? Which we're going to be talking about later on. Okay, so do you know this guy? Dom Perignon. Do you think he was responsible for discovering champagne? No. So who's responsible? Some monks. We don't know the name. Actually, it is true, okay? When they found out, or he was given the assignment, okay? Because in them days, they just make the wines as it comes, with carbon dioxide trapped in the bottle, and they're wanting to get rid of the carbon dioxide because they think that that carbon dioxide is faulty. So his task is to get rid of the carbon dioxide, okay? But he said, hang on a minute, why would you like to get rid of the carbon dioxide? Maybe they're actually drinkable. So an Englishman had actually helped him out because in them days, the bottles are all exploding. So when you enter the cellar in their abbey, they look like baseball players. Okay, they're all geared up because if one mistake of one bottle popped out, it's going to be like a domino. The rest of the bottle is wasted. Okay, so his task is to get rid of this carbon dioxide. But one of you guys, Englishman, has discovered that there's actually a better way of bottling with the pressure on. So, and of course, Christopher Merritt in 1662 have done this in writing the fermentation process for champagne, which is champagne de méthode, okay, which is the only method that's allowed to be used in making a champagne. Okay, it's not allowed to use any other process. So if it's Prosecco, what are the process of doing a sparkling wine? Yes. There are 3 kinds of process that speeds up and you can sell it straight away. Transfer, which means the first fermentation happens in the tank. It gets transferred into the bottle. It gets fermented and transferred back into the tank. Okay? The second one, it takes place only in the tank. Okay? And then the third one, they inject the bubbles into the bottle. So when you pour it, 5 seconds, it's gone.
What method is used in the Prosecco and served here, which is Canti?
Canti is the transfer, yes. That's why, yeah, it's got more bubbles. They call it spumante as well, which is an Italian term. There's more fizz, and that fizz actually lasts. But if you compare the fizziness of the spumante or any of the sparkling compared to the champagne, it lasts longer, obviously because of how it's been made. Okay? So, first fermentation, extract all the juice and the pulp. The base one is filtered into the stainless steel vat. First fermentation takes place into the vats. And then the wine is injected to bottles, and then the liqueur de tirage is added. Liqueur de tirage is what? Sugar. Because not all year round is a good year. Okay? So sometimes to balance it up, they have to add up some sugars. As per the EU law, if they harvest in September, that particular year, if it's not a good year, you can only use 75%. The 25% is a reserve wine, which they will use in the near future. So, if you're buying your champagne, do you actually look for a vintage or a non-vintage champagne?
Depending on what you want to spend.
Depending on your budget as well, obviously the vintage will be much of a higher price. Okay, so what do you think is the difference? The taste. Okay, the non-vintage is actually a combination of different blends in a year, of different villages, and of different crew. Okay, the vintage means that that particular bottle comes from one single good year. Get me? Right. Okay. So the wine is injected to bottles, and then what I've explained earlier on, the term for that is the assemblage. Okay? They mix the wines all together to be able to reach the quality they are wanting. That's the reason why most of the champagne have got same quality of wines. And then it gets capped and goes into this riddling racks for aging. So riddling means what? They're twisting it. Okay, the purpose for such is to get rid of the sediments. Okay, and that riddling is second per second. Nowadays we've got modern. This was the riddler before. Okay, when we don't have the machine. Can you just imagine riddling this in a day? You can riddle 50 to 100 in a day. How about the rest? Okay, so this is the modern riddling machine where it gets tilts second per second, and all this sediment settles into the bottle of the wine. And then dosage or sugar will be added up before bottling the wines. Okay, so what is your preference when you're buying champagne? Do you like it dry, extra dry, medium, or sweet? Who likes a sweet champagne? I think the idea of buying a champagne because you like it dry. Otherwise, you're just gonna buy a nasty or Prosecco, isn't it? So, it gets this yeast settles into the neck of the wine. Okay, and how do you want to get rid of it? Sorry? Okay, remember that when we said the first fermentation, okay, the bottles are crowned. You know, like Coca-Cola? Okay, it's just crowned. And when this yeast settles into the bottle, they put it in such a solution where this will take the pressure out and gets the yeast out of the bottle. And then it gets corked straight away. Okay? And the bottle has to be strong enough to withhold the pressure. And you have to bottle it or crown it straight away, otherwise you'll lose more of the carbon dioxide. So, how about organic, biodynamic, vegetarian, vegan? Have you come across these terms before? Yes. Nowadays, everyone's just crazy about organic. Organic cheese, organic meat, organic fruits, organic vegetables. So what's organic? Natural. You don't use any of the pesticide, insecticides, or herbicides to get rid of the pests. Okay, so it's all natural, right? How about biodynamic? Have you heard this term before? It's got to do with the phases of the moon when they're planting and harvesting the wines or the grapes, okay? Which is very rare because it's just too technical. How about the vegetarian? Anyone of you vegetarian? Trying. Not succeeding though. Okay, vegetarian wines has got to do with the clarifying or feeding agent used to clear off the sediments in the wines. Okay, so what they use is egg yolk. Egg yolk is used to settle in the barrels and traps all the sediments, and then you can get rid of it and clarify it. How about if it's a vegan? Vegan means no animal products. Can you use egg yolk? No. Okay, so they use gel to clarify all this, or clay. I don't know how they do it, but I've not seen one. Okay, so they use gel and clay to get rid of them sediments and impurities in the wine. Closures. How do you prefer your closures? Take the bottles from the rack in the grocery stores, straight into your glass. That's the way to do it. Or do you like it posh? Like the old ways when you actually use your corkscrew and open your wine? Yes. I would like to. In them days when I used to be a wine share, was probably 10 years ago. I can't remember any wines that's corkscrew. It's all like proper cork, isn't it? But do you know that these corks are from Spain and Portugal? And for us, okay, to be able to use this cork, it takes 50 years of these trees to produce a proper cork. Can you just imagine? 50 years, okay? So that's how expensive these corks are. And it's very, very rare that you can plant this anywhere else in the world. So they are actually based in Spain and Portugal. So if it's a proper cork, it says that this cork actually has got TCA, or trichloroanisole, which imparts flavors into the wine. However, bear in mind, it's also enough reason to spoil your wine. So for that to be avoided, what do? Stick plastic in. Okay, you say corkscrew. But of course, there is a proper way of storing your wine. How do you store your wine? On the side. It should be laid on the side so that the cork gets in touch with the liquid or the wine that's inside. And what does it do if it gets trapped? Sorry, if it gets in contact? It actually moistens up, okay? And prevents the swelling of the cork. So when it shrinks, what happens to the wine when it shrinks? The carbon dioxide will enter the bottle and spoils the wine. So it has to be on its side. Okay? Consumption. He says. Right. Who do you think consumes the most bottle of wine in the world? I'm talking about countryside, and I'll give an extra glass. China is doing very good these days. France. Australia, more. Nope. Nearly. Oh no, I cannot give you a glass of wine, sweetheart. Because did you say America, madam? I heard him say America. Right. A glass of whatever choice for madam as well is America. Okay? Why do you think it's America?
Because I drink anything.
Of course. And it's got to do with how big their country is and how popular their country is, that a lot of tourists goes to America, and that's you, Chinese, Italian, Spain, and they drink these wines. It's not actually the American people. It's the tourist that goes to America that drinks most of this wine. How about production? I'll give you a clue. More? No. It's used in a ceremony. You're so clever! What's wrong with you? you training him this early? Right. It's actually the priest, or where's the priest from? Italy. Okay, so Italy is producing the most number of wines nowadays. And do you know that Vatican, if it could have been a country on its own, is the biggest producer of wines in the world? Obviously, there's more priests in there. Okay? So health. Oh, this is very interesting. Is there any health benefits of wines? Oh, yes. Don't count the calories, yes. Okay? Of course there is, especially if it's a red wine. What's in the red wine? Tannin. What's in the tannin? Flavonoids, resveratrol. Okay? This actually helps in the getting rid of the blockage of protein in the arteries. Yes, you should concentrate more on drinking red. That's why I've switched. When I used to learn, I was just learning to drink wine. I used to drink rosé because it's sweet. And then I switched to white. And then now I'm into red. And if I drink white, it gives me headache. It's probably just here in my mind, but it's how it is. If I drink probably a glass of more of the white, I'll get headache. I drink a bottle of red, I'm fine. But not yet, okay? Right. Right? House rules in wine tasting, of course, definitely. What are we looking for? First wine we're going to be tasting is the acidity, is the white. So we're looking for the acidity, which should be balanced by sweetness. If it's a red wine, what are we looking for? Bitterness. Okay? And of course, very, very important, that's why we're buying wine, is the alcohol. Alright? What part of our mouth is used in tasting the wine? Okay, the back of the tongue is responsible for the bitterness when you're tasting your red wine. The acidity is felt at the side of your tongue. So when you swirl it and it makes your mouth watery, that means acidity is there. Okay? Salt, well, you don't really want salt into your wine. The sweetness is felt at the tip of your tongue, and the tannin is detected on the gums. So when you're swirling your red wine around your mouth, make sure it touches the gums, okay? Because that is where you detect if that particular red wine is tannin or tannic, okay? Or it's just like Merlot, it's quite soft. Tools of the trade, very important. All your sense of smell, of course, sense of taste, and sense of sight should be working. Are they all working? All right, okay. So what do you call the smell in wine tasting? Aroma, or the bouquet, okay? That's what we're looking for, of course. It signals, the nose signals your brain what the expectations of flavors are, okay? The palate, this confirms the style and the flavor, of course, and the body. The temperature, I hope that the temperature is good enough for you, ladies and gents. If it's too warm or too cold. I've got one. Okay? And very, very important in some, but to others, not as quite, okay, is the food. Do you still follow the procedure? When you're choosing the wine, or just how it comes? Do you choose wine for your fish? No.
You choose my favorite wine for everything.
It is. I think nowadays it's just go with the flow. As long as you're enjoying a bottle of wine, it doesn't really matter what food you're having, isn't it? But in some, oh, I can't have red. I'm having fish. So why do you think is it important for us to pair the food?
Get the best of the wine and the food together.
I'm sorry?
To get the best of the wine and the food together.
Yes, of course. Well, according to the book, it actually has got a great impact because if you're having, like for example, a curry, are you going to mash that with a red wine? Yeah, I would. I would personally, but it says there in the book you shouldn't because spicy food is what is hot, okay? So if you're gonna order a full-bodied wine, it's gonna make your mouth hotter, okay? And it does spoils the wine or the food eventually, okay? So what's in this meat? Why is it paired with, wow, steak bites as well? Okay? Oh, that's chicken tikka, is it? Sorry, my glasses are not very good. I have later. Whatever's left. Okay, so chicken tikka is there and the steak bites as well. So what's in the steak? What's in the meat that is paired well with red wine? Okay? There is protein in the meat. Okay, and the tannin cuts deep into the protein and balancing the flavor. This is for the book, okay? Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just relaying the message. Right? Food and wine pairings, the strength of the one, as I mentioned earlier on, if it's Cabernet or Shiraz, it's full-bodied. Spicy food should be well with Sauvignon Blanc or Merlot because Merlot is soft. Or a Gewürztraminer. Do you know what Gewürztraminer is? It's a wine from Alsace that's quite sweetish and aromatic. Aromatic pairs very well with spicy food. Smoked, of course, champagne or wines with high acidity. Sour, obviously, goes well with Sauvignon Blanc. Salty, examples of which are oysters, shellfish, champagne, or sherry. And sweet, do you actually like pudding with sauternes or dessert wine or not? Some do, some don't. Right, it depends on your palate, obviously. Right, first wine, if it's still there. Okay, so what are the tools for wine tasting? We need to check clarity of the wine. Okay, how do you know if your white wine has been aged or matured? It's the color. So check the color of this Sauvignon Blanc. This is one of the famous Sauvignon Blanc, and I hate to say that we're getting rid of it. Okay, they're changing the wine list in June, ladies and gentlemen, and a lot of our really good wines are going with the change, which I'm not happy about. But there you go. I'm just a worker. Right, so, as I was saying, white wine, as it ages, gains color. So what do you think of this one? Has it got that particular color that do you think has aged? No, okay? Most of the wines that are aged are Chardonnay. French Chardonnay, they are aged. If you buy a Pouilly or all these Chablis, they are aged, so their colors are different from this one, okay? So let's just try the nose. Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand is very famous because of distinct aroma and taste of gooseberry. Have you seen a gooseberry before? I haven't. Sorry. So, okay, so let's try the aroma. Can you smell it? Pineapple, lychee, elderflower, passion fruit. Is it all there? Yes? Okay, pale lemon colored with noses, powerful and exotic. Okay, splendid with seafood dishes, vegetarian. Your poultry, which is your chicken tikka, goat cheese. We don't have goat cheese, but there's cheese in there. Okay, alcohol percentage, you'll be glad to know, to start with is 13.5. Is that good enough? More, says. Higher, please. Okay? And 1995 on your main wine list, which is a very good price for a cruise ship. Okay? So what do you think of this one? Let's try it, if there's some left. When you do your wine tasting, you open your mouth, sip a little, open your mouth again, inhale some oxygen, and then gargle like this. Because in wine tasting, you are allowed to make some noise. It's a bit sharp, isn't it? It's sharp, but I think it's quite drinkable. Fresh. Yes. It's nice because I have something to eat. In some days when I've done my wine talk, there's no breakfast, no lunch. So when I have my first sip, it's like painful. So, what do you think of this one? Do you think you can have it?
What is the vintage?
Oh, this is a young wine, sir. It's not a vintage wine. It's a young wine meant for early drinking. Right? Shall we crack on? Okay, who likes rosé? Everybody likes rosé, depending on which rosé. Some like it sharp or dry. Some like it sweet. But this particular rosé is so famous because it's sweet-ish. Plus, I think this is a starter for those people who's just learning how to drink wine because it's 10% alcohol, which even if you drink a whole bottle, you won't get drunk. I think. Probably because I drink more. Okay, $17.95 in the main wine list, ladies and gents. Okay, so what exactly are we looking for? Blackberry, watermelon, of course, raspberry. These are all what we're looking for in this particular wine. But however, check the appearance first. Okay? So what do you think of the color? Is it good? Sexy pink?
Yeah.
Alright. So let's try the aroma. What do you think of it? It's too drinkable, I think. Strawberry. Okay? And if you try it, now let's have a little sip. Because it's only 10% in alcohol, I think the flavor don't last very long. No. Plus, if you swirl it around, ladies and gents, okay, like this, is there any legs there? Not a lot. No volume. Okay, no body. Right. You can barely see it. And it goes down fairly fast. Right? So when you had a sip, what do you think of it? Too sweet. So you are a proper wine drinker then. bite of your canapes, ladies and gents. And prepare yourself for this third one. Make sure your palate is clean. Okay? Before you have a little sip, because this one's quite special. Okay? Bosworth Puritan Shiraz from Australia. McLaren Vale. Where is Bosworth? This. History. Ladies and gentlemen, give me some history. Bosworth, come on. You know where Bosworth is. It's the Battle of Bosworth. So what's the stories like? Can't remember what happened. Right, okay? I was asked the same question in one of my wine talks. Why is it Battle of Bosworth from Australia when that battle actually occurred in England? Okay? I said, I do apologize, I don't know the answer, but I had to Google it. And I found out that the name of the owner is Bosworth, nothing else. Okay? So it's not, got nothing to do with the battle that happened in England where King Philip, is it King Philip? King Charles was killed. King Charles was killed in that battle. Okay, so 100% Shiraz. Who likes Shiraz? So full-bodied, heavy wine drinker. Okay. This particular wine is very, very special. Okay. So this particular wine is very special, as I've mentioned earlier, because it ticks all the mark. Okay? It's vegetarian, it's vegan, it's organic, and it's biodynamic. It's everything. Okay? Which says here is that no additional preservatives, hence you will never have hangover. Yes? But you already had 3 different ones, so you will have hangover. It says if you drink this on its own, okay? So what are we looking for? If it's dark in color, body, sexy body, okay? So blueberry, dark chocolate, if you like dark chocolate, and of course this possesses a very, very nice tannin that you will find out in a little while if you wait for me, please. No, we're not gonna wait. Okay, right. Just swirl it, please. Just give it a swirl, and then trap your palm on top of the glass. Okay, just leave it for 1, 2, and 3, and then sniff it. What do you think? Yeah, I think it's a bit smoky. You can actually smell the alcohol that's present in this wine, which is 14.5. Ain't that nice? I'll help you have a kid in the afternoon. 14.5 in percentage. Okay. So when you swirl it, ladies and gents, just check the legs. Very prominent legs. Okay. It stayed on and it goes down fairly slow. Okay, which means there's more body and weight on this particular wine. And when you try it, the flavor lingers more into your mouth. Okay, you've already swallowed it, yet you can still taste. Am I correct? Do you like this wine? I love this one. It's 23.50 in the wine list, which is still a good price, not a bad one, but we consider it as one of the higher or more expensive
What's
ones.
the price, please?
23.50 for a 750 ml. However, ladies and gentlemen, this particular one has got sediments, okay? Which if you order it, the wine waiter should be asking you, Madam, are you happy for me to decant your wine? Or should we just leave it and just pour it slow? Normally, if it's in the freedom dining, we pour it slowly towards the end so the sediments don't go into your glass. Okay? Normally. It depends. Sometimes it gets really busy and then they just forgot, oh, there's sediments in there. And they just pour it. Okay? I'm just stating the fact. Right. What do you think of this particular wine? Yes? Super excellent. Wow, what a way to put it. Right, next. That's staying. Yeah, that's staying. It's just a shame that they're getting rid of the Bilibili, the Bulletin, and the Stoneberg. I know. I've said the same thing when I've got the list in my head and I was like, not the Bilibili, please. That's one of my fave. I did not say anything today. Save Billy. I like that. Okay, let's save Billy. We'll see how it goes, right? So the next one, ladies and gentlemen, is the Prosecco. Oh. This is the sort of drink you can drink at mid-afternoon. Breakfast? Seriously? Oh, God. Some people can do it, I suppose. Okay, mid-afternoon, when you're just sitting in your veranda, but it's not snowing outside. Make sure it's not snowing. Okay? Or when you're on the deck. Okay? This is the sort of drink you'd like to have. Okay? So what are we looking for? We are looking for a citrus, almond, and white flower. What's white flower? Is that some paquita? What's the white flowers like? Orchid? Orchid? Daisy? Right. Those are the stuff that we're actually looking for. Okay? It's got a soft mousse. When you say mousse, what is it? Mousse. Effervescence. Mousse is this. This is what we call mousse in here. It's like a, yes, the frothiness that got accumulated on the top of your wine, that's mousse. And they call the bubbles in French, what? Effervescence? Effervescence is the term used for this bubble that's coming from the bottom of the glass up to the tip. Okay, so can you please make sure that you leave just a little bit of your Prosecco so we can be able to compare that with the Lanson Gold later on? It's just a good comparison, so it's okay. So, Italy, of course, 100% Prosecco. Charmat method, which means it is from the bottle, okay? It's been fermented in the bottle, right? Color, checked. Is it a good color? Yes. How about the nose? Did you hear that? They all sniff the same. That's your last glass, madam. No more fifth one for you. Okay? So, let's just do it. I think it's lovely. I think you can't go wrong with Prosecco. It's so easy. There's no harshness. You can't go wrong. Plus, it's cheap. So it takes all the mark. Okay? However, if you're looking for a bit more in-depth body and volume and weight, of course, we'll switch to a bit more expensive one, which is coming in a bit. And they're measuring it inch by inch because it's too expensive. I'm sorry. It wasn't popular in them, in the last few years, because we used to have Spanish Cava in the list, and we never sell a lot of it. So,
How long does this Prosecco last in the bottle?
open or unopened? Prosecco is not meant actually for aging. No, but the thing is, what I know is that because Prosecco is not meant for aging, it is not advised that you actually keep it for a long time. But the length of time that you should be keeping it is not discussed. So I'm going to have to find that out, sir, for you.
Yeah. The price was got after 3 years. I'm calling it Prosecco.
So something is happening between those years. Right. No, no. So all I know is that if it's a proper champagne, then obviously you can keep it for a long time, no matter how long you want to keep it. But I've not read anything about keeping a Prosecco because obviously Prosecco is not meant to be kept. Probably is the case, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't be keeping it. Yeah. 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 We'll do that. We'll do that for you. Right? So, if you compare your Lanson Gold, okay? Lanson Gold is not the cheapest amongst the Lanson house, the Lanson styles, okay? It's the fourth most expensive styles of Lanson, okay? Because it's been aged for more than 5 years before it's been bottled. Bear in mind that if you are selling a proper champagne, the minimum number of years that you can age it is 3 years. Okay? You have to age it for 3 years before you sell it. If it's a vintage wine, which is this one, it has got to be 5 years or more. Okay? So let's check. Okay? You have seen the Prosecco and the effervescence of it. Okay? Please compare the bubbles. Okay? If you take a look at the bubbles keenly, okay, the Lanson one has got smaller bubbles and they are rapidly moving compared to the Prosecco ones. Okay? If you look at these bubbles, they are fairly small. Can you tell me how many bubbles are there in a bottle of champagne?
5 million.
More? More? I'll give you an extra glass of Lanson Gold. More? It's 49 million. So, which means, I don't know how they've counted it. But it says there in their book, it's approximately 49 million bubbles in a 750 ml of bottle of wine. Okay? He's got the patience of an angel. That's what I know. Right? So, okay. You finished them all? Alright. Okay. So, what's so special about your Lanson? Because it's a proper champagne. Okay? It's been aged for 5 years, as I've mentioned earlier on. Okay? And what's the so special about the cork? The velocity of a cork of a proper champagne is 25 to 60 miles per hour. So you be careful when you're opening it. And we need to be careful as well because there's loads of lights and what do you call this? Water extinguisher. Okay? So if you make one mistake, this extinguisher will explode like the bottles. Okay? So, having a look at your wine glass or the champagne glass, was this the glass they used before? In the old days? Oh, wait, I need to be careful now. Do you know what I'm getting at? Yeah. Yes, yeah, I need to be careful. So, the original coupe, they call it the coupe, the champagne coupe, was molded from one of the very famous female in old days, which is Marie Antoinette. Do you know her? Yes. And it was molded. Yes, I don't want to say it. Okay. So she's wanting to be more famous than Helen of Troy. So she asked specifically for that flute to be molded in accordance. And it was perfect shape, mind you. Okay. So, okay. Just added information, okay, ladies and gentlemen. We've got thousands and thousands of grape variety. But do you know that in Champagne region of France, only 3 types of grape variety are allowed to use? That's the Chardonnay, which is the most expensive grape variety in making this champagne, the Pinot Meunier, and the Pinot Noir. Okay? Originally, in the old days, it's only the Pinot Meunier that's used for making champagne. That's why most of the champagnes in them days were pink. Okay? If you're making a red wine, you are actually getting the skin in contact with the grape juice so you can get the color. If you're making a champagne, it's actually a blend of the red and the white grape juice. It's not the skin. Okay? They call it bleeding or I forgot the term. Bleeding, yes. Okay. Right. Okay, this particular wine is 47% Chardonnay and 53% Pinot Noir. There is no Pinot Meunier. And when I say cru, remember I've said earlier on, there's loads of cru and villages in the Champagne region of France. But this particular one is only made from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just 5 cru. There's loads and loads, hundreds of cru in there. But this is on the higher cru. Okay? As per the EU law, any champagne should not be more than 12.5 in alcohol. It can be lower than that, but can't be more, which is the main difference between this and any of the other countries, especially Australia. They can go mad to 15% in alcohol, but the EU law says no, you can only have 12.5. Okay? Aren't you glad you're exiting? Right, okay? And of course, this Lanson Gold is only 7 grams in sugar. Okay? There are extra brut, which is 0 in sugar, and there's low as well, which is 12 in sugar. Okay? So do you like this?
Yes.
Yes. It's very nice. It's very crispy. The bubbles melts into your mouth. You're actually chewing the bubbles. This is what I felt anyway. But, yep. Are you happy with this one?
Yes.
Free song. You'll get free song after this. Because I'm drunk. Okay? To all those who enjoy a glass of wine and to those who don't, which I don't think there is anybody here who don't, okay? As Ben Franklin said, in wine there is wisdom. You have to be really, really clever. In beer there is freedom because you can get pissed. Okay? In water there is bacteria. Do you agree? Yes. In a number of carefully controlled trials, scientists have demonstrated that if we drink 1 liter of water each day, at the end of the year, we would have absorbed more than 1 kilo of E. coli. Ooh, you don't like that in your tummy. In other words, we are consuming 1 kilo of poop. Ew. However, we do not run that risk when drinking wine and beer or tequila. Oh, they're so clean. Rum, whiskey, or any other liquor, because alcohol has to go through a purification process of boiling, filtering, or fermenting. Okay? So remember, water is poop, wine is hell. Okay? Therefore, it's better to drink wine and talk stupid than to drink water and be full of. I'm not allowed to say that word. Thank you for coming, ladies and gentlemen. If you have enjoyed this wine talk, my name is Sharon. If you haven't, my name is Michelle.
And it's me.
Fashion show. I'm just right on time, am I?